Day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Would you be? You got. Just give me what you think. Okay. All right, everybody. Sorry. Um, welcome to
We doing
another.
a lot, dude. Doing a lot.
We try to do a lot all at one time. Trying to order something. Trying to. Good to be with everybody, and we are in our temporary location as we. Let's see. I'm trying to see my cameras and follow online as we do construction across the hall. We are in we a little cramped up in here, but it's working.
It is.
It's working. We make it happen
Oh,
one way or
absolutely.
another to talk to the people in Buffalo and across the country who are watching us. Let me get right into a whole lot of topics I got today. There's a new pope.
Yes.
So you told me to watch that movie Conclave, and
Yes.
I did. Again, I had already watched it, but I never really watched it all the way through. Still didn't get all the way through it, but I did look up not reviews so much, but I did read some articles of people who are in the Roman Catholic Church, like deep in scholars, and they talked about some of it was not accurate of what actually goes on. And I believe that, and some of it I do believe is because of what you were hearing in reports of how they go into the room. So in the conclave they don't talk.
No.
But they do the talking like at lunch.
Right.
And they're not supposed, I think you brought this up, not supposed to campaign, but they kind of campaign. So we have the first American
Yep.
pope. And I was wondering, like, did we ever have, because we had the discussion whether there's ever been an African American pope, but I was wondering, had there ever been an American pope? And the answer was no. And this guy has a super big brain because he speaks all these languages. He was just in Peru, from Chicago. And so here is just an observation. Here's an observation. Because like people were on being interviewed and they were like, we're just waiting to have a new father. We're just waiting to have a new father. We're just waiting, da, da, da. And there's all of the regalia, and there is all of the bowing to the Pope, and there's all of the kissing the Pope's ring. And you know where my mind went. Like, and nobody says anything. Everybody, and hey, I'm all with it. I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
Respect your leaders. Respect your leaders. But nobody says like, oh, I ain't giving my money to the church so that the Pope's house, the Pope's house.
He has a city. It's a city.
Y'all talking about my little corner lot. And I'm not comparing myself to the Pope. I'm comparing myself to how people, and I'll say not just African Americans, because I've heard people say, oh, your church does this, or for you, to different people or different pastors. I remember when we bought when Tribeto bought the condo, and it was like, oh my gosh, and this wasn't coming from people who look like me. It was other people like, they spending, but the Pope, and I got it, millions upon millions of followers of the Roman Catholic Church.
1.6 billion.
Okay, so not even millions. I'm under, right? So I get it. That's a huge lift. But to you folks who go to church, respect your pastor. That's all I'm saying. Respect your leadership.
That's it.
Regardless in what respect, because ain't nothing being said about the Pope and the Pope Mobile and all of the
Security.
armor bearers, security. Matter of fact, if he comes to this country, he gets Secret Service protection.
Sure does.
So, end of the day, y'all can pass me with that pastor over there got that pastor over there got that, because y'all ain't saying, you don't say nothing. Nothing.
Nothing for the man in white.
For the man in white. It's just ooh, it's a Pope. And I ain't gonna I'm gonna be honest with you. I was watching when the smoke came out.
Were you really?
I left the TV on. I forgot when I left home. They were like any minute now, and then I got to the office and I'm like, oh shucks. And I turned it on, so they were talking, and they were like, oh, we have a Pope. And So big ups to Pope Leo.
The 14th,
Because
yeah.
they take on whatever name that they're going to represent. Not his real name. His name before being Pope Leo was Robert Prevost. And we're going to see how they treat a pope from America. I'm just saying, I don't think he going to get treated the same way.
No, and I don't either. And what they have said is, he's super progressive. He should be a good pope to continue the legacy of Francis. And I think it will be interesting to see if, now he's been the Cardinal of Peru for a number of years, so we'll see how Americanized he still is. But I think it will be interesting. And now I talked about Conclave, and then I saw an older movie. I don't know if you've seen it before, called The Two Popes, and it was about the transition of Benedict and Francis, and how that happened, and not knowing how much is true and how much isn't, but it talked about the dialogue of Benedict and how kind of conservative views he had, and Francis and how liberal he was, and they had conversations and finally were able to have some true heart-to-hearts. But it was an interesting, and we talk about it all the time. Anytime we kind of go behind the scenes, it's a kind of a cool, even if it is over-dramatized and everything, it was just kind of cool to hear what even to even imagine what some of this dialogue could be between two popes.
Absolutely. So I just look at the difference, and I know there are certain denominations where they lift up highly their bishop, and I know people are very critical of it, but I just say, look at the dichotomy now. Let's look at both sides, because they might not have billions, but they respect their leader.
Absolutely.
Y'all want me to get all into it? They respect their leader, and that's considered cult. But then when it's done with other folk in Rome, it's just considered the leader of the Catholic Church. And again, let me be clear, I'm not against it at all. They respecting their leader. They whether you agree with it or not, hey, I'm not paying money into it, so it ain't my business. So I am not here to dog it, so I want to be clear about that. But it's just amazing the silence that you hear when it comes to other cultures. And Grandma Peach, I want to thank you all. I saw an article about Grandma Peach and the Fruit Belt. She lost everything. Now, I do believe I heard somebody say that she, waiting on insurance, but in that interim time, and I thought I was very impressed that somebody put up a GoFundMe site and it only asked for $12,000. Now, somebody say $12,000, but I mean, when you've lost everything, and from what the article or what I read, Denise Barr from the Fruit Belt took her in, and there was a GoFundMe, and when I went on the GoFundMe, it wasn't really moving fast, so we used this platform to put it out there. And on last check, she was at, here we go. So people really reached out, and I'm not saying it was because of my post. I'm just thankful that people reached out, and we're very close to, here it is. And this fundraiser was not by me. It was by Alyssa Peoples. So right now she's at 83% of her goal, which would be $12,000. We're at $10,000. And this post that I put up was shared over 818 times.
Wow.
Yeah, that's big. So I want to say big ups to all of our followers for whether you donated or not, just the sharing it was incredible. And so we are, of course, praying for her. And this time she's been very active in the Fruit Belt area. And I'm glad, if you read the article, she was in the house when this occurred.
Wow.
And,
I did not know that.
Yeah, she was in the house and happened to be upstairs in a 2-story home. The explosion happened on the first floor. She felt it, things fell over. She going downstairs to find out what happened. and smoke is coming up under the door, and the fire when she, the door opens and there's a fire person on the other side of the door, and so her life was spared in an explosion that there was a gas leak in her house. So thank God for Grandma Peach and all of those in Fruit Belt Fruit Belt is a tight community who gathered together and made it, and are helping her through this tragedy. I got a request from Latoya Bloom Reed on Facebook, and she wanted to know how much I would charge her to encourage people to watch her movie on YouTube. And I did start watching it today. She has a movie on YouTube called She's Not Jamaican Movie. She's Not Jamaican Movie. It's a local movie. And so go on over to her page when you get a chance. Support her. Press the like button. Latoya does a lot. And so she wanted to know how much it would cost. Well, it costs you nothing because we use our platform to push that which is positive, because people will want to get with you when you're doing something. So I want to get with her right now as she is climbing that ladder, that producer ladder. Let's see. Don Trotter says understood, but I say that because I'm not sure what comment I missed. So I think because I am on my computer, do you usually sign me into Power to People? So I'm looking at Power to the People from my thing, and I'm not seeing all the comments.
On my phone, I have to keep going in and out of the video to see updated comments. So I don't button.
This is new. We've never had to do all this. I can only see 1, 2, 3, 4 comments, but there are 22 of them.
Yeah, there's a few.
So I got to figure this out. True that. I'm not sure what I'm answering. Understood, but I say that because he's no longer. I may have to sign out of this, and or you sign into a tablet. Can you see the comments?
Yes.
What we got?
So a few people were talking about the Pope comment. So Dawn was saying, so she said originally he didn't even speak English yesterday. He not American no more. So that's what she was saying. He spoke French and Spanish.
Just turn my headphones down just a little bit.
And then, so that's what she was clarifying,
okay.
that he's not Americanized anymore because he didn't speak English yesterday.
Now, I will say this. I did wait for him to speak some English.
Yeah.
Because he did. And I mean, we all armchair quarterbacks should talk about, but because he was born here in America, I just expected I would hear some English come from him.
Now, he did open up his mass today.
In
English, but he said the rest of this is going to be in Latin. So,
which is the traditional language of the Roman Catholic Church,
yes.
The historical language of the Roman Catholic Church. But yeah, okay. So people was feeling something about that.
Yeah.
After the hour, we're going to talk a little bit about landlords and Section 8 and a study, not a study, an investigation that just came out. But I want to talk a little bit about Target. So I want to know from the viewers, have you been to Target? Have you been to Target? And you can either call me, and it's going to be a little complicated. You call 895-8222, extension 201, extension 201. And even if you press 0, they will patch you through back here to my office, 895-8222, extension 201, or on Facebook. Tell me, have you gone to Target? And I'm reading an article from today at 6:12 from local news 12 in another city. It says Target CEO addresses silence from leadership amid a tough few months of business.
Yep.
And I'll read a little bit of the article, but I want to know, have you gone to Target since we have Target on snooze? Target CEO, now you got to remember, this is the head of the company. Brian Cornell has addressed the silence from the company's leadership. This is real odd.
Wait, the CEO said this?
The CEO of Target. And This is from a credible news source. and it was written. They reported on Local 12, but it was written in the Star Tribune. So he says, addressed the silence from the company's leadership amid a tough few months of business. According to the Star Tribune, Cornell, who's the CEO, addressed a gap in communication that led to uncertainty in the company in an email to employees on Monday. The email acknowledged that Target has had a tough few months with the company's pullback on DEI policies, leading to boycotts and the stores seeing a decline in foot traffic, according to Placer AI. I recognize that silence from us has created uncertainty. So I want to be very clear. We are still the Target you know and believe in, Cornell wrote per the publication. There's been a lot coming at us, macro challenges in the environment, but also headlines, social media, and conversations that may have left you wondering, where does Target stand? What's true, what's not? The company's hardships comes among the tariffs imposed on goods from countries around the world. Oh, that's where your hardships come from?
Uh-huh.
That's where your hardships come from? From tariffs? Bruh, come on. Let me finish the article. I'm sorry. Imposed on goods from countries around the world, including China, which is expected to have major implications for big box retailers, per Bring Me the News. Cornell wrote the Target's values of inclusivity, connection, drive were not up for debate. However, per the Tribune's report, according to the publication, Cornell has recently met with the Reverend Al Sharpton and boycott leaders to discuss the company's rollback of DEI, as well as President Trump to speak on the issue. These meetings were not mentioned on Cornell's emails. And then we'll have a conversation. The world around us is noisier and more complicated, but that doesn't change who we are. Every day, our team lifts each other up, goes the distance to care for our guests, and generously supports the communities we call home. You make Target. Thank you for blah, 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 blah,
There's
blah,
the sales
blah.
pitch. There's the sales pitch.
So it hasn't been a good few months because of tariffs?
Tariffs just started.
Tariffs just I was watching today on CNN, the guy who builds sells and allegedly manufactures children's stuff like strollers. All of it's made in China.
Yeah.
He's so pro that he was like, well, it's just going to be for a little while, and they asked him about safety standards,
right?
Because China has all of the safety standard locations where they test it. We only have a couple here, so he said, well, we don't really have the capacity to test, so we're going to make the strollers here. And I'm not saying, and I think we've been clear about this, I'm all for it. Let's manufacture more here. But let's be realistic about manufacturing here. Oh, because we're going to talk about children, too, because, they want you speaking it. So we're going to put all this together. Yeah. So the president said, less dolls. Just get that a child doesn't need 20 or 30 dolls. That they can get by with 2.
That's what he said.
Well, it's easy to say that when you got so much money,
yeah,
that you can still buy your kids dolls,
even the grown ones,
even the. There's so many directions I could have went with that, but we're a family-friendly show, so I'm gonna keep it PG. I'm gonna keep it PG. But even the grown ones, he can buy plenty of dolls.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, you still are tone deaf.
Yep.
To the fact that whatever affects rich America triply affects those who, even the average American.
Right.
And so you're okay saying, oh, they don't need that many dolls. It's so much more that comes out of there, like strollers, like car seats.
It's so sad.
So this guy was saying, well, we got a lot of inventory right now, so it's not going to affect. But when the next shipment comes in,
right.
So they were like, well, how much will prices go up? And basically, he sidelined the questions, but it's obvious how much they're going to go up.
It's obvious. It's obvious.
If the tariff is 100%. Now, oh, by the way, the president this morning on Truth social media, because that's where we get our news now.
Right.
said that 80-something% seemed fair. What?
He sure did.
You just, and then he said it was going to be up to B. Scott. I'm going to leave it up to Scott. What?
The person he's been feuding with publicly.
What?
That it's up to him. And you know,
Talking about roll under the bus. Go ahead.
Throw him. But, you know, and I mentioned it last week, the brief minute we was on, but I was on before I played a replay. You know, now the minimal exemption is off. So now your Shein, your Temu orders.
That's up now?
That those tariffs are in full effect now. So
When did that start?
it started last Friday.
I needed to order something.
Yeah, it was last Friday. So now you're going to see that 80 to 100% tariff on your Shein order. Yeah.
So instead of a pair of pants costing
$10,
$10,
you pay $35.
you may as well
And
you
take
may as
an
well
extra
go to
week
the mall.
and take an extra week to get here.
You may as well go to the mall.
Yep. Yeah.
I tell you, I'm just going to India. I'm going to India. No, because it's fighting in so many places right
I don't even
now.
know if we got to go that far. Maybe I'll just go to Canada. Maybe I'll just go to Canada.
But
It's too cold
we
there,
all
though.
getting it from every. You mean like to move?
Yeah.
Oh no, bro, no. Everybody talking about that. No, I love Canada, and I go to Canada constantly.
Yeah.
Bruh, I'm not going to Canada to move. If I'm moving, I need some sun and heat.
Well, that's what I said. Oh, yeah, it's too cold still.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be up in Skajakodon and putting on a double hoodie and it's
Double
bad
down
enough.
fur.
We only get 4 months.
If that.
4 months. What's this? May?
Yeah.
We gonna get we ain't pray for the Lord give us a little in May. June, July, August, September, start putting the stuff up.
And that's the bad thing. People, and again, as you always said, we're all over the place.
Right.
It's bad when people are like, "Ooh, next week is changing, and this is gonna be a great weekend," and it's like 65.
Yeah. So where are we at? Shucks, that fact. Oh, toys,
yeah, the
tariffs.
kids, yeah.
So yeah, the tariffs. I mean, this is just crazy. So it obviously we know it's going to affect all of us. So there's this push, and first it was just coming from Elon Musk. Now it's coming from other officials because I heard another official yesterday with this push to have more children. To have more children. Okay, let me get right to. Let me see if I can get to it. Go ahead?
Well, I was going to say, while you pulling it up, this is one of my struggles, and you know, this is, and I will, and I'm not saying he's the originator, but it was the first time I think most of us have heard it. When Bishop Jakes was in a super conservative teaching, and he said the problem he kind of has is we're not really pro-life, we're pro-birth. Because you want us to have all these kids, everybody have all these kids, but then once they're here, you ain't gonna want to try to take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're cutting education, you're cutting social programs, and all of these other things, which again, not necessarily agree with reform, but if you want to increase, then because you just think of every market it touches because it's social programs,
yes,
it's education, it's also tax benefits,
absolutely,
and tax credits and everything else. So all of these things get affected when you like, oh, push out more and more kids, and then we end up being like a China and squeezed into huts because we have 1 billion people and our borders ain't getting any bigger.
Yep.
So I'm truly concerned.
Public officials in the U.S. are pushing families to have more children primarily due to concerns about the nation's declining birth rate, which has reached historic lows in recent years. This trend has sparked anxiety among policymakers, especially conservatives, who argue that shrinking family sizes could threaten the country's long-term economic growth. Let me read that again. Who argue that shrinking family sizes can threaten the country's long-term economic growth. Who benefits from economic growth most?
The 1%.
It could have threatened the workforce stability and the sustainability of social safety net programs. So, in other words, have more children so that we can grow the economy and we can have the workers. And several motivation and policy approaches are driving this push. Economic and demographic growth, a lower birth rate can lead to a smaller working population, making it harder to support an aging society. So in other words, us old people ain't going to have no young people to take care of us, to pay taxes. Cultural and ideological factors. Many conservative leaders see the traditional nuclear family as the cornerstone of American society.
There's so much. Oh my God.
Pro-natalist policy proposals in response, public officials have floated various incentives, such as a one-time, listen to this, I'm not making this up, one-time $5,000 baby bonus.
Oh, Jesus.
For new mothers, expanded child tax credits, and even government-funded education about fertility and menstrual cycles. Now, we can't talk about Black history. We can't talk about equity inclusion anymore where the federal money is. But you want to talk about fertility and making more babies. But can we have a talk about what we do with those babies afterward? Because I did do a search about how having more children will impact African-American families. African-American families, on average, have experienced a significant decline in family size over the past 50 years, with the average number of siblings dropping from 6.53
Good night.
in 1960 to 3.18 today.
Oh, 6 kids.
And 6.5 kids.
6.5 kids.
So you get one kid with maybe just legs.
Yeah. Oh, 6.5. Oh, Jesus, help us.
You get one torso. Larger families must spread limited resources. Come here, little torso. Come over here and sit with your brothers and sisters. Spread limited resources among more children, which can strain financial stability, access to quality housing, and investment in each child's development. Listen.
We already
can barely afford
housing.
what we got.
We can barely find housing now.
Can't find housing. So where you want me? If I got 6.5 kids, little torso can live in the living room. But them other 6 kids need bedrooms. And these landlords, which we're gonna talk about in a little while, they ain't some of them ain't acting fair. Little torso ain't gonna eat a lot because that's little torso is 0.53. Little torso.
Or he might eat out our house at home.
He might. Little torso might. So my point is, they're pushing an agenda of have more children so we can make more money.
But, and this is why I said there's so much to unpack, because the underlining thing, even with the DEI removal and this have more children debate, it really has nothing to do with us Black people. It is. And I just have to say it is about rich white men wanting their white wife back at home and being baby makers and house makers again. They don't care. I promise you, they don't care what we do because, one, like I said, they talk about the funding and all of that. Yeah, they're cutting all of the stuff that impacts us, but it's for them to increase the white replacement theory. And to keep them in the majority. That's what this whole underlying push is. Get rid of DEI because it has affected white women greater than it has any minority, and we want Becky and them having more and more kids.
I wish I could see all these comments because I don't know what Diamond Howard said, but wait a minute. No, I can kind of see it. It's going in and out. Who gonna take care of you having baby Trump?
Oh,
jeez. I can see some, but they're dipping in and out for some reason.
Veronica Bell said no additional children are needed in this world that is full of turmoil and dysfunction. Sounds like plantation dialogues. Marie Collins says folk don't even like each other anymore to make a baby out of love.
Dang.
Yeah, this is. And then she said, "Little torso, you play too much."
She said, we don't even like each other to make kids. Let's see if I do it this way. Okay, so I see 50-something comments, but I can only see 10.
Yeah,
so that must be from all the people. No, here they go. I had to do it a different way. I was going to say the comments must be coming from people I blocked. Okay, now I can see more. What do you mean by respect? The people speaking all languages understood. Respect is whatever you. I'm not gonna give definition of respect. You're talking about respect to your leaders, each other, and your leaders respecting each other. Whatever your definition is of that,
and there's
go
a
for it.
there's a difference between respect and worship. So,
Absolutely. Okay, true that. I'm trying to go through these comments. Veronica, I grew up in the fruit belt. Okay, I think I'm getting to the nitty gritty. No, not I. I don't know some of these comments, and I'm sorry, we just getting the comments in. Your broadcast keeps going back and forth to reels. Take your finger off the button, because I'm just seeing straight broadcast. Veronica Bell on the Target issue says, no, I stopped shopping since we established the boycott. Have you been back to Target?
I have not.
I made a mistake the other day.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't go in. But I was in Niagara Falls.
Uh-huh.
Wait a minute. It's probably my computer.
Oh,
It's probably my computer. I hear feedback too. I was in Niagara Falls. I needed something real quick. And I was like, oh, I'm right by Target. I pulled in and I parked. And then I was like, I can't go in Target.
It's the worst. It is.
But I'm not a big Target person.
I will say, honestly, it has not. It's just like with me and food. I get so once you stop doing it and getting it out your regimen, I don't even think about going to Target when I need to go buy something. So
Yeah.
it doesn't even cross my mind.
I've never been a big Target. I'm the Walmart guy. Give me Walmart.
Yeah.
Diamond Howard, I don't step my body in Target, period. My budget ain't for Target, period. Veronica Ivy says, I only went once since the fast started, and it was 2 days after Easter. Katrina said, Don said he sounded like a Trump. I know who you're talking about. Katrina says he's trying to tell y'all that it's the stockholders that had an issue with DEI, and they sued the company as stockholders, saying that the CEO didn't tell them about the DEI policy prior to implementation. And she then corrects it, says shareholders. G5G says too much to respond to. Diamond Howard says, y'all president just a mess, period. Don says he said put kids to work on farms, can't expect anything different. Katrina says say goodbye to the mall. I believe that.
I do.
I believe that. And I know I'm at the commercial hour radio, so I'm coming to you in a few seconds. We're seeing a decline in the mall now.
Absolutely.
I went in the mall in Philly the other day. And in these stores, I went in one store. I was so excited about the clothes that was in there. I stuffed so many clothes in my carry-on, only to get back and you tell me that store is in the Galleria.
But as I thought about it, probably totally different buyers. So it's not, because you're in a different market. So
I hope so, because
Yeah.
I sure don't want to come into church looking like everybody else. Oh, you went to such and such. Me too. Radio, I'm coming over to you. I'm coming over to you for commercials in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
When it comes to something as personal as your clothes, you need to deal with somebody you can trust. That's why so many people turn to Hobson's Dry Cleaning, conveniently located in the heart of the community at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming.
When you take your clothes to Hobson's, you can trust that they'll be ready on time.
You can trust that your whites will be white.
You can trust that you'll always get a fair price and service with a smile.
You can even trust that you won't have to get out of your car if you don't want to. Hobson's has a drive-through window for your convenience.
Trust is what it's all about at Hobson's Dry Cleaning.
Hobson's Dry Cleaning, your one-stop dry cleaners serving the community for over 30 years at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming. Call 891-8298. That's 891-8298.
Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home has 3 locations to serve you in Buffalo. 347 Peckham, 2258 Bailey Avenue, and Providence Memorial Chapel at 1275 Sycamore. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes offers traditional services, and they have services for all faiths. And at Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes, they have air-conditioned parlors and chapels. Financing is available, as is limousine service. At those difficult moments in your life, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes is available where you are with counseling services. call toll free 877-885-7734. That's 877-885-7734. Or locally 845-5545. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes. We are here to serve you, here to serve this present age. Call today, toll free 877-885-7734 or email info@brianklewisfuneralhome.com.
All right, we're back, and man, ain't nobody on here saying they having no babies. I want to know where the babies at.
They ain't coming from us.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. I if I was, baby making age, still wouldn't want it.
Hey, well, listen. You ain't too far off. They still out here.
So did you ever want a big family?
No, I never did. As a matter of fact, I was talking to this with one of my supervisors today. Growing up, I never wanted the house, the fence, the bunch of kids running around and this, that, and the other. Yeah, that was never my ideal life. I wanted the downtown Florida windows and a condo, luxury.
So I was an only kid.
Flying in and out of town, and yeah, I wanted that life.
I wanted what I had. I wanted a daughter first, that's what I wanted. But I never, because I didn't grow up in a big family, I probably wouldn't know how to, but I ended up with a big family. I keep telling people, how many grandkids? I don't know.
Them over there.
Come here, little Rudy Toot. So
you gonna mess around and call one of them little torso. I just know one of them gonna end up being a little torso.
So let's talk about this investigative. Well, it didn't come from Investigative Post. Let me see. I got so much stuff going on my desk, on my computer. So there was an investigation across New York State, and dozens of landlords not more than a dozen, got caught up in it, in which they were basically, there's a nonprofit watchdog group that filed a complaint of 103 real estate agents across the state. 13 of them came out of Western New York. And some of the Buffalo defendants contacted by Investigative Post for comment are calling foul on accusations. I'm just going to read a few of the addresses where these folks are being accused of turning down Section 8, which a landlord cannot turn down in New York State and in Buffalo. There's even more measures. Let me just deal with City of Buffalo. A landlord cannot turn down legal income. Legal income. So I'm about to take you there. I'm about to take you there. So if you are a dancer, and you got legal income and you paying your tax, blah, 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 blah. It talks about legal income. That landlord can't say, I'm not going to take you because you're a dancer, but I'm going to take you because you're a healthcare worker. And so it's the same thing with Section 8. It is a legal income. Mm-hmm. So they found on 115, this is the allegation. Let me say it again, the allegation. 115 Grove Street, 189 Fowler, 349 Bedford, 211 Highland, 254 Crescent, 60 Cents Warren, 335 Park Ridge, 522 Amherst, 47 Lakeview Avenue, 10 Cottage Place, 259 Carolina Street, 637 West Avenue, and 1368 East Delavan Avenue. And I on purpose did not read the names of the landlords. You can go and you can read it yourself. But again, I feel, this is my feeling, they're accused, but they haven't been convicted. Right. So I'm not going to do that to them because I wouldn't want it done to me. Housing Rights Initiatives, an organization that aims to protect the rights of tenants and to preserve and promote affordable and fair housing per its mission statement, conducted a year-long investigations. Testers posing as individuals with Section 8 vouchers reached out to a number of real estate brokers and independent landlords to ask whether they would accept the vouchers. So basically, those who are on there came up, according to the article, allegedly with excuses why they couldn't take it. Now, one landlord did respond, and she says, listen, I've been trying to take Section 8, but I wasn't certified. I've been reaching out to them. They haven't called me back. And I tend to believe her. She didn't have to do it. But I do believe that there are people out there who don't want Section 8. And I'm going to tell you why I believe it. Because when I posted earlier about if you let me see, she didn't answer me. I said to some people, can I about, me talking about this, and there were people who said this about Section 8 people. Nope, that's the live show. A lot of landlords, so Anna Gambino says, a lot of landlords are afraid to accept Section 8 due to eviction rules. It's so hard to evict a tenant if need be. My neighbor is trying to evict, and it's taken forever because of Section 8. And yes, you're guaranteed the payment, but meanwhile, the tenant is tearing up the place, selling drugs. Now listen to this, because this is interesting. Selling drugs, having house parties, needless to say, it's not worth it. There are other comments in my earlier post where people said, a lot of these landlords are afraid of Section 8. And this is from Adrian, assuming they are strict. I had to tell landlords that it's not as bad as they think. In my opinion, they should be a little more strict when it comes to certain things. And here's another interesting. Hazel Jones says, what about if you have Section 8 neighbors that constantly argue and fight, cops and CPS constantly at their house, and have complained to 311? I think that this shows that some people think that if you're on Section 8, you're a bad tenant.
Absolutely. That's definitely clear and illicit bias. Clearly.
It's clear, and I'm just going to say this. I have been a landlord. You get bad tenants regardless of whether it's Section 8 or not. And the one thing about Section 8, if you got a bad tenant, now you have another, I would assume, go-between to be able to help you, because you're going to eventually have to evict that tenant. And so I think that there is a bias just from reading the comments about Section 8. Now, I'm not saying that bias has not been earned, but from what I'm hearing from landlords, and although we have properties, I don't deal with any of the property at all. When I say at all.
There was one of the people that were accused gets mentioned later on in the writing, and her quote was, she said, she was one of the ones that said in text that, I'm sorry, you can't use that here. She said she told the landlord told Investigative Post that she currently has tenants on Section 8. She said that she wasn't aware it was unlawful to deny tenants with vouchers. She argued that there should be laws in place to protect landlords as well, which there is, as she believes tenants on Section 8 are high-risk renters, as she believes they're high-risk renters. Quote, you only hear horror stories about Section 8. I've never heard any positive story where someone rented out to someone that has Section 8, and when you kick them out, if they do trash your house, the city doesn't do anything about it, so you don't have any landlord protection, she said.
Well, I'll say this because, I got to defend the city when the city doesn't have anything to do with it. So the city not doing anything about it because Section 8, is that a federal program? Yes, it's federal because you can move your Section 8.
Yes, through HUD.
Right, and I know people who are in Hawaii on Section 8.
Yep.
That's the Section 8 to have right there.
Go apply right now.
Yeah, so, but then there seems to be, from our responses online, a definite stigma.
Absolutely.
About the Section 8. Let me. Wait a minute. Oh, this is an inbox. Okay. Hello, Bishop. This is from Nita McDuffie. I have been rejected on several occasions. There are no decent, nice houses available. My children and I have been living in a small upper apartment for 4 years due to no one wanting to accept my bail amount, Section 8. It had been times where I over-explained my income to make them aware that I pay a majority of my rent, but that doesn't seem to work. Thank you for sharing that and allowing us to share it on the show. I do know, and I have heard, somebody gonna put nobody got time for all these kids. Oh, all those kids. That was from our former discussion. I was about to say, So it is hard to find housing, and there are people with and I know some people might not. Some people may be against social programs that help people who are struggling. But be careful about being against something, because in this economy, in this time, you don't know when you're gonna need help. And I tend to believe that you have to vet. You have to vet tenants not based on where they get their money from,
Right.
but some of that you can vet past history.
Sure can.
Where have you lived? You can contact former landlords. Now, if you didn't tow up 4 other landlords' houses, or you ain't paid in 3 other locations,
Yep.
then that can be my issue. But my issue by New York state law cannot be your income if it is based on legal income. Bad news travelers. I'm not sure what Veronica means. Veronica Bell said, and this one, she says, definitely a stigma attached to individuals who have Section 8 assistance. Don says anybody can do this. Is stigmatization of program. So I think we all agree. Sounds like a big West Main Street issue, because I was wondering whether anybody was connecting the dots of the streets that I was saying.
But some of them are on the east side.
Some of them are on the east side.
Yeah.
But
Now where the
ahead.
landlords live, that might be a completely different story. But some of the
absolutely.
properties look like they are all over the city.
Sounds like a big West Main Street issue on housing discrimination and quality of housing to the east of Main Street, and the assumption that people that receive Section 8 are criminal and horrible. So I really am glad that they're oh, you did bring me some water. Mm-hmm. I'm really glad that this investigation went out, because I hate to see people stuck in one box because of the action of others. My biggest thing is littering and taking care of neighborhoods. And I saw a lady yesterday, day before yesterday. I don't know, I'm old. My days get mixed up. What today is?
That's that retired life.
What today is? Thursday.
Semi-retired life.
Semi-retired life. Just walk down the street. Now, she ain't got to be Section 8. She was eating a hamburger through the wrapper just right. So, I gave her that eye.
Mm-hmm. I know you did.
Like, for real?
Mm-hmm.
So that don't mean Section 8. I've seen people tear up apartments that's not on Section 8.
Right.
So I think when these landlords utilize these, and I get it. Let me say this. I get it. I have owned properties. I still own. I get it. I get how tough it is. And now, can't even Airbnb in this city.
they just cutting all the income.
At least with Airbnb, you can make you $3,000 if your place is nice and you ain't got to deal with tenants over and over. But y'all got y'all's at City Hall got new stuff going on. It's a little freeze on it.
I was going to say, we get out of the city, we get out of city council, and next thing they do whatever they want down there.
Listen, I tried to hold the line for y'all. Now, I do agree that some Airbnbers, the landlords are not good tenants, but we put inspections in place. We did all kinds of stuff in place. Because, if we're going to talk about here we go, going off the rails. Mm-hmm. If we're going to talk about tourism in the city of Buffalo and all that kind of stuff, people got to have a place to stay.
Yes, they do.
They got to have a place that they going to stay. And
now the city got their bed tax. So there's a lot moving.
So some people say the bed tax ain't going to be a big deal. I don't know. We going to see as it goes. But if we going to attract people into the city of Buffalo and they want to stay, this right now, people, Airbnb, Vrbo, all that, it's big. To be very honest, I do have my favorite hotel chain. Yeah. But when I'm going into certain areas, I'm looking at Airbnbs.
I have to get on that wave now, because everyone I hear that's going, they're like, oh, man, I'm just in an Airbnb.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, really? Like, because I still like the hotel life if I'm out of town. But now I see the wave is truly Airbnb.
When you can spend $150 and be in 2 bedrooms with 2 bathrooms and a kitchen and TV, I'm all for it. Where if I go to a hotel and I got a 2-bedroom suite, I'm paying $300.
That's true.
Now
yeah.
the only and hotels, and I ain't dogging the hotel industry
Right,
before
right.
they start calling me. But hotels now, I've been watching a trend. They don't clean every day,
No, absolutely. They stopped in COVID.
and they never came back.
They never came back.
And so now it's like, call if you want cleaning every day, or let us know at
that's the
check-in.
worst.
Then if you don't let them know at check-in, I've been in hotels that are like, oh, we need to know at check-in so we know how to schedule.
Oh, that's terrible.
At the end of the day, I might not have needed cleaning. I
Yeah.
might not have needed cleaning. I needed it because of the night before. I had a party. I had pizza and wings, and there's pizza and wings all over the place now. So
Yeah, that's
you
terrible.
get, but Airbnb doesn't clean, so you got to clean your own. But if I know I'm
okay.
cleaning my own, so they're not, unless you're over, like in some countries that you can get cleaning with it.
Right.
When we went to Jamaica, the man offered, I shouldn't even tell this story. We went to Jamaica. The man offered, he said, I can leave my maid in the house. He was from the United States.
Okay.
I think Boston. 7-bedroom house
I
on
like
the
to-
water.
I like to leave it. Never mind.
He said he wanted to leave the maid. No, no.
Let me stop.
But check this out. When we get to the place, this is where you got to be careful. This is where you got to be careful. We walk in the place, the man is there.
Oh,
Because I forgot, I didn't get it on Airbnb. I forgot what I got it on. It was like, book it.
yeah.
And so he met us at the door. The maid was supposed to meet us at the door. And so I said, oh, you're in town? He said, yeah, I had to do some repairs on the house, so I'm here. And then he says this, would you mind if I
Yes.
stayed?
Yes.
If I stay in my bedroom?
Yeah. Whatever came after do you mind? Yes.
So I looked at Monique, and I'm like, what you want to do? So I said, we're gonna sit in the car and talk for a minute. She's like, absolutely not. And then she said, hey, did you see the camera that was on the stairway?
Oh no.
I said, what, the camera? So now we go back in. I said, nah. I said, we this is our honeymoon, and we want the house. We rented the house. The man says to me, I've seen people naked before. I said, not this couple, you won't. I said, sir, you can either refund me all of my money right now. And my point is that we've had some sticky points. So the man was like, oh, no. We going to get, I said, and sir, what is that camera? And he said to me, oh, it's just facing the door because it's Jamaica in case somebody broke in. I said, I'm going to need, he said, but it's not connected. So I said, okay. When we left and came back, when they got the house ready, we came back at whatever time we were supposed to check in. I literally followed the line
Yeah.
that went into his bedroom, into his closet. You can't make this up. And it was disconnected. Well, the computer was off.
Yeah.
Bruh, I did more than turn the computer
we
off.
disconnected
I
wires.
disconnected wires and then got up on a chair and put some tape on the camera.
Yeah, nah, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing
Yeah,
that.
so-
especially in a foreign country. I ain't
So
doing that.
that's where people get a little nervous. But you give me an Airbnb. You give me an Airbnb most of the time.
yeah.
Then I can rock. But yeah,
I gotta get back on that. I gotta get on that wave.
have no idea how we got there, but we got there.
We said because the city's suspending all Airbnb.
Yeah, but that wasn't even.
Yeah,
We were talking about housing. We talking about
properties and no good rentals. I'm trying to
You
work our
listen
way
to
back.
this show, and you gonna get a little bit of everything. This is like going to
Everything.
Old Country Buffet.
You get 30.
You gonna get 30 conversations at one time. You gonna get a little laughter. You gonna get a little seriousness,
and
but you gonna get it,
In America, it's only gonna get worse the older we get.
bruh. Okay. All right, so I digress. I had one other. Did I have one other topic? No, that's it because it's 12:55. I got to get ready to get out of here. Did they give me a commercial
It's
list?
it's in the front. I gotta remember.
Huh?
It's in the front. Hold on.
You got to remember? Is that
I
what
gotta
you?
remember because now we in the back.
Oh, you got an old one. I guess it's the same business. Let me talk about our sponsors for a minute. They was doing too much. Somebody said. Marie Collins said. A lot of inappropriate behavior occurs in Airbnb by the owners. I don't know what you're talking about, Veronica Bell, but
Change your Airbnb.
I mean, there might be a lot of inappropriate behavior, but other than that man say, could he stay?
That-
I'm not sure about the owners.
yeah, I don't.
Now, if you got something to tell us, please share before we go off the air.
That's the thing. I don't think I would ever stay in one of those ones where you're like sharing the property with the owner.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not taking a room.
I need you all the way out.
So you got to be
else.
careful when you do an Airbnb because it may say a room.
Yeah.
And now you living with another family. I can't do that. And I'm going to tell you, well, first of all, I can't do it because I don't know who you are.
No.
But I also can't do it. I almost rented Airbnb thinking I was renting a house.
Yeah.
And I was really only renting because it said you'll enjoy our Labrador retrievers. Number one, I don't want to be in the house with your dogs. Number two, that means I got to be in the house with you.
Dude, yeah.
Let me tell you my biggest problem with being. My biggest problem is, first of all, I don't know you, and I don't want to be around.
Absolutely.
My second problem is I'm not sharing the bathroom.
No, absolutely.
I mean, how many matches can you light?
And those of you who don't know what he's talking about, you are not old school.
How many flushes can you give? How much running water can you do? Hobson's the Dr. Dry Cleaner. Veronica Grayson said, focus, gentlemen. It wouldn't be the Power to the People show. Hobson's the Dr. Dry Cleaner, 874 East Delavan, 874 East Delavan. Listen, if you take your clothes over there, call and go get them back. Go get them back. I got a whole hamper full on my way over to Hobson's. And Mark, I discovered something because sometimes they mix up my black pants because I send so many black suits at one time, right? So you know how we do. We do funeral.
Yep.
And then some of my pants are mixed up. I ordered, and I have them from Amazon. Please don't do an Amazon strike.
Please.
These things you iron that you can write on in your suit.
Oh.
And so I numbered my pants. And my jacket.
I like that one.
Yep.
I like
Because
that.
I spent the other day 45 minutes laying out black pants
that's the worst.
with a flashlight trying to match up
fabric.
the
That is
fabric.
the worst.
So go over to Hobson's, the Dr. Dry Cleaner. Go over there today. They've got a new system that they will actually send you a text when your clothes are ready. In other words, come get your clothes. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home, 3 locations to serve you, 347 Peckham, 2528 Bailey, and 1275 Sycamore. In your hour of need, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home, 845-5545. What is all these notes? Are these your notes?
That was my notes for last week.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was chicken scratching.
You was scratching.
And I ain't even talk about it anyway. I was just wanting to bring them up and say because of 48 hours of prayer, this is the reason why we and you were out of town is the reason we could be talking about all this, but yeah, that was it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. It's been a wonderful show. Thank you all for all your comments. Jeanette Parker says to all of the mothers, Happy Mother's Day. I say the same thing.
Happy Mother's Day.
Go in corner. Putting us in the corner. No. Until next week, power to the people.